Have you ever caught yourself believing something that you know isn't true? Like, I'm not enough. I can't do that. Or, why would God help me? You see, lies are sneaky. They sound logical, they sound familiar, and sometimes they sound like our own thoughts. But those thoughts have an origin. They started somewhere, and if we don't learn to recognize where lies come from and what the truth actually is, we can end up living far below the life that God intended for us. Webster's dictionary defines a lie as an untrue statement with intent to deceive or to create a false or misleading impression. That's the world's definition. But spiritually speaking, a lie is anything that contradicts what God says is true. Sometimes those lies, well, they seem harmless. Well, that's just who I am. When I'm ready, then I'll do. I'm not as good as she is at, well, everyone else has it all figured out. But lies are powerful because they shape how we see ourselves and how we see God. They limit us, and we in turn limit God. The very first lie happened in the Garden of Eden. The serpent approached Eve and asked, "Did God really say?" Well, that question was subtle. It didn't outright deny God, it just planted doubt. And that's still how the enemy works today. The serpent, otherwise known as Satan or the devil, well, Satan, whose Hebrew name means adversary, accuser, or opposer, is described by Peter as a lion looking for someone to devour. Jesus tells us the devil is really the father of lies with no truth in him. We often picture the devil as a cartoon character with red horns and a pitchfork, sitting on your shoulder, whispering bad ideas, but that's not his real tactic. His lies are far more personal. They sound like, "You'll fail. God really isn't with you, and everyone else is certainly better than you are." And the worst part, after a while, we stop questioning them. We believe the lies because they attach to our pain. If you've been rejected, the lie says you're unlovable and no one wants you. If you've failed, well, the lie says you'll never get it right. You won't succeed. If you've been overlooked, well, the lie says you don't matter and you won't be chosen. Lies can feel safe because they help us explain that pain. They tell us, "Don't try again, you'll only get hurt." But that safety is an illusion. It keeps us trapped in the same patterns, never realizing that we're living from a false identity. You see, there's a story of a young eagle who fell from her nest and was raised by prairie chickens. Every day she scratched at the dirt and pecked for seeds and watched the other birds fly overhead. She'd sigh and say, "I wish I could do that." And the prairie chickens would cluck back, "Don't be silly. You're not meant to fly like that." One day, another eagle spotted her. And that eagle said, "Hey, you're an eagle. You were made to soar." But she didn't believe it. She'd been living like a chicken for so long that she forgot who she really was. And that's what lies do. They convince eagles they're chickens. They convince children of God that they're less than, they're unworthy or powerless. But God is always calling us higher, inviting us to see ourselves the way He sees us. Now imagine this. What if that little eagle, even just for a moment, believed? What if she thought, maybe I can? Maybe she spread her wings, flapped once, and lifted just a few feet off the ground. Not soaring yet, but higher than she'd ever been before, higher than the chickens around her. And that small amount of courage gave her hope. So she tried again and again, until one day she realized who she was always meant to be. That's what the truth does. It lifts you higher each time you choose to believe it, because truth isn't just words, it's transformation. Truth isn't an idea, it's a person. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Truth isn't something you create. It's someone you align with. It doesn't always make you comfortable, but it always sets you free. When we spend time in truth, in God's word, we're not just reading nice verses and stories, we're rewiring our minds to see the reality as God designed it. That's why Jesus said, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Freedom starts the moment we replace the lie with His truth. Paul says to take every thought captive and make it obedient to Christ. That sounds big, but it starts with a small, simple step. First, you recognize the lie. Pause and ask yourself, what am I believing right now? Is this something God would say about me, or something the enemy wants me to believe about myself? Then take that and replace it with truth. So speak it out loud. If the lie says, I'm not enough, replace it with, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. If the lie says, I can't, replace it with, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Then repeat it over and over again until you remember it. Lies don't disappear overnight. They've built neural pathways in your mind, and the truth needs time to rewire them. So every time that lie returns, meet it with the truth again, and soon the truth will become your default thought. Friend, the enemy wants you to stay grounded like that prairie chicken, but our limitless God created you to soar like an eagle. It starts with one simple act of belief, choosing to agree with the truth instead of the lie. If you're ready to start that process, I've created a free download called the Toxic Thought Detox. It's a simple guide to help you identify your toxic thoughts, replace them with truth, and then start renewing your mind daily. You can grab it using the link below this video, because freedom doesn't come from trying harder and striving more. It comes from releasing the lies and knowing the truth. You were never meant to live grounded. You were made to soar.